What's up, everybody? It's Zain Dhanani, debuting a new type of show. I've been doing a best ball draft for the past 3 or 4 years, and decided that today, you know what? I'm on my journey to do 150 max entries for Ball Mania, and I figure why not just stream them? You can pay attention, you could not. Doesn't matter to me. Might as well just do it on camera for fun. I also built a tool to do this, which I think will be interesting for people to see as I do it. So I'll share my screen and we can get into it. All right, gonna wait in the lobby, enter a Ball Mania draft. This would be my 20th draft so far. I did 18 on the first 2 days. I actually did 20, but 2 of them got thrown out. And now I'm going to enter into my 20th one. I did one yesterday. I did not like it, but is what it is. I built this tool. Basically what it does is it takes custom rankings that I've built out and kind of prioritizes players. It's modeled based off of previous history of Ball Mania drafts, and it factors in a whole plethora of things like draft capital, stacking value, all sorts of different stuff that I taught the algorithm to learn. And so and then it also takes into account what my portfolio looks like already. So after 10 drafts, like your portfolio starts to like differentiate and matter. And some analysis that I've found over that too, that matters a lot. So what this is doing is basically just telling me like which players might be available at my pick, and essentially just trying to update and tell me where things are at. So let's see. Yeah, so yesterday's draft, I got an A. It grades my team. This is what the team looked like. Since I'm at pick 10 today, look at my ADPs. Like CeeDee Lamb will probably be the guy that ends up around where I want to pick, but Justin Jefferson seems to rank above him in my algorithm that I've built out. So we'll see where it ends up. During this draft, I'm actually able to like export the draft too. It takes every pick into account, and I can export it and see where things are at. I can upload CSVs of my drafts, like when you download it from Underdog. I click the sync button and it literally just fetches all of my drafts too, which is great. I can export them, and when I do the export, it actually shows like all of the players that I've taken. It shows the grade for each pick, the grade for each team that I have. In my portfolio mode, I can look at my top stacks for this specific contest and other contests as well. And I can look at combos, and I can type in like, hey, how many times do I have like Sam Darnold, and what teams does he on? Okay, I've got him, and then who else did I have on that team? Did I have Smith Najigba on that team? Oh, okay, I have 2 JSN Sam Darnold stacks. Great. Who else did I have on that team? Did I have Barner? Oh, cool. I have one that has Barner as well. So this is all live. Like while I'm actually drafting, I can do all of this great, cool stuff. I also have this mode called draft plan mode. So what it does is it simulates the draft to understand like what the likelihood of different players are being available later, to understand like whether or not you should make a move for a certain type of player now versus later. So it's trying to take into effect like scarcity and stacks and all sorts of different stuff. And I'm choosing to leave all these things on. These are things that users could just say like, nope, I don't really want to do it, or yeah, sure, whatever, I'll do it. Looks like Amon-Ra fell to me, and that seems like a great pick for me. So, and I have 5% of him. I haven't taken CeeDee Lamb yet in my 20 drafts. So I'm going to take Amon-Ra. Early picks based off of all of my research and analysis, basically just take the ADP value, the first like 2 or 3 rounds. Of course, you don't want to get like fully boxed out of running backs and stuff too. So I'm in a spot where I'm definitely going to take a running back in this next pick anyway. But yeah, I think it's important to sit here and say, all right, like when I'm doing these picks, I need to sit here and think through like what the actual thought process is with all of my players. So Here I have the choice of taking Kenneth Walker or Omarion Hampton, and the tool thinks I should be taking Kenneth Walker. I think that's a decent pick. I might take Hampton instead just because, and it defaulted to Derrick Henry on accident because I just messed up, which is fine. It happens. My rankings are the things that it's defaulting back to. Anyway, while I do hate that, I'm still on track to build the type of team that I want to build anyway, so it doesn't really matter. But the tool also tells me all sorts of different stuff. So it tells me like the stacks that I could have available to me. It tells me the probability. I built this all in based off of like all the historical trends and stuff like that, and some simulation modeling that I built out. But basically, it tells me the probability of landing Jared Goff, which right here, if I zoom in a little bit, maybe you'll be able to see it better. It tells you at the bottom here that, at pick, his ADP is 108.4. In round 9 at my pick, I have a 64% chance of getting him, so that's pretty good. So that's probably the time that I should take him. Then it also tells me like my bringbacks for week 17 and who's available. So, obviously I have Caleb Williams, Luther Burden, and I have a 95% chance of getting him in round 3. Roma Dunes in round 5, 61% chance, and Loveland in round 4, 92% chance. And it's just choosing those because those are when I'd have like the best chance of getting them. And then like, the round after that, it would be unlikely that I'd be able to get those players, which is unfortunate, but that's just how the model is built out, right? So like, I can't remember how it works anymore, but I don't think this like updates. If like I didn't take Goff in round 9, would it tell me like what the probability is in round 10? Probably not. But it is good to like help yourself plan. Like, okay, round 9, I'm pretty sure I know exactly what I'm going to do. I am really unhappy that I got Derrick Henry though. Not a bad pick because my rankings, but like I really wanted to take. I hadn't taken Hampton yet, and I kind of wanted to do that. But that's just me. Since I'm messing around with the tool and trying to show everybody what it does, I just got to kind of play with it and see what happens. I don't think I've had this start yet either, so that's good. With Amon-Ra and Derrick Henry, I can check that after this pick. I'll check. So Kyron's coming up. We'll see if this person takes him. I don't think he will. He has 2 running backs, but you never know. He did take Kyron, so the tool updates. It says, hey, you should take Javonte Williams, which I am uncertain on if I want to or not. I think that it's probably a good pick, actually, because I'm going to run out of running backs pretty much in receiver alley at the next turn. So you can see like it's now evaluating, okay, you're in a robust running back build, and you're probably going to take a mid-round QB and a mid-round tight end. And so what it's trying to do is like optimize the capital allocation, if you will, for that specific situation. Now that I've taken 2 running backs like pretty early, it's like, okay, we know that the right way to build a team based off of all of this is through is to prioritize like maybe more of like a mid-round QB situation and a mid-round tight end situation, because now you're getting a little bit behind at receiver, so you're going to have to invest in receiver. It's really hard to build with like early round QB and early round tight end, and so like the algorithm kind of knows that that's the case. Again, I mentally know all of this stuff too because I built it and I did all the analysis, but I think it's good for like to have a tool that just kind of like shows you that that's the case as well. I think it's helpful to have something that keeps you on track and on pace as you're going about your draft. And this one's easy. I think that, people are kind of rating Ladd pretty high and different things like that. I've taken a lot of him. I took him a lot when he was going earlier, and now I think Garrett Wilson's a good pick. So I'm going to take him. Okay, so my start was Amon-Ra, and Derrick Henry, which it seems like I actually did have a draft like that. But I don't think I had Javonte on that team. Yeah, I did not. So my 3-person start, which is actually really important in all of my analysis, is like to have not too many 3-player starts that are the exact same, because you want to diversify like your coverage of elite players. And those are kind of like the rounds where you have like elite players. Now I know like if you're not doing 150 drafts, or if you're not doing 50 drafts, like do whatever you want to do. But when you're building a portfolio, pretty important to like figure out the right mix that you want to build out. And like this algorithm's also determining bye weeks and what's the issue with it within all of that. So I think it's pretty interesting. Okay, so now it's telling me, round 15, Geno Smith for me, and round 9, Jared Goff for me are things that I can do. This tool will prioritize the stacks, but also like know that there is a drop off of when it is valuable enough to do a stack versus not. And it may not recommend a stack, which is okay. That's just how things go sometimes. And we just got to kind of play through it. Sorry, I started watching my live stream on my phone for a second there on the side. It's just interesting to see who's actually like interested in this kind of content. I mean, I know best ball is still pretty niche compared to like redraft and stuff, but I figured, more videos out there, more things that people are interested in. I think it's cool for you guys to see all the types of stuff that I'm trying to do. But now I can see like my bringbacks for all these other players as well, which I think is great. This is my brand of the cut up that I built myself. I've got my Twitter handle up here. Yeah, this is vibe coded, half vibe coded. Like the front end is vibe coded. The back end is all like math and science that I did. It's not just like, hey, rankings, and then like, oh, we're going to prioritize stacking. No, this is all like very well fitted math stuff that's happening in the background. I'm not even a big DJ Moore fan, but it seems like the tool really wants me to take him, and I'm okay with doing that. So why the heck not? And again, it's prioritizing these receivers because obviously I started with a running back, kind of like 2 running backs in 3 rounds, and now it's like, all right, we need you to stay like healthy at receiver as well. I'm going to assume that, yeah, so it's prioritizing Roma Dunes next, which I think is a good like bring back partner to Amon-Ra for week 17. And it also shows like the week 16, 15, like all of those have values. They're just smaller values in the algorithm. And now we've got a tie between Jordan Tyson and Brian Thomas. I haven't taken Brian Thomas, and I'm pretty low on him. Like when I think about it mentally, I'm not very high on Brian Thomas. So it'll be interesting to see if I actually want to do this. And, maybe this is the right time to do it because it's past ADP, and I should probably think through times that I want to do this with Brian Thomas. And I'm not like a huge like fader in the round, like first 7 rounds. There are some players that I will probably end up fading. I don't really want Cardinals players at the moment because I don't think they're going to have the quarterback that I really want to. I think they're going to have Carson Beck starting at the end of the year, and I think it's super underrated. Like people that do projections will tell you that when Carson Beck is quarterback, we're going to be projecting somewhere between 170 to 190 yards for him, and that's really hard to project out. A player that is going to end up. It's really hard to project out like him supporting one or 2 pass catchers with that projection. The team will probably end up scoring like 2 touchdowns. It'll be 1 like Jeremiah Love touchdown and 1 potentially passing touchdown. And that just like really screws up like your whole thought process around all of this. And so, yeah, I struggle with that decision making myself. We're going to see a lot of running backs popping up in here. We see Ramondre has a Week 16 stack with the Jets. I have my browser pretty zoomed out, which makes this all kind of tougher to see. I'm going to refresh my screen so that my tool pops back up. Actually, I think I have it on zoomed out mode. So, yeah, I do. So yeah, that's what makes it all tougher to do and see. Right now, it's looking like I like looking at this by ADP. I don't really care about the ranks because my tool is telling me who to take anyway. But I think I'm probably going to end up having to take a running back. I know it's kind of pushing Dak on me because I have Javonte. Again, team stacks are good too. And he's probably a decent value at where I'd pick, which is 82. But I'm less interested in that. I think that what I'll probably end up doing is getting Trevor Lawrence on the next pick after that. If I get lucky enough to where someone's not on the stream watching and telling me and taking a guy that I was going to take. Kind of running out of running back options. So, things are getting a little dicey. I think I need to take a quarterback here because otherwise we're going to run very thin at quarterback. But yeah, I've got round 9 as a Jared Goff time for me, so that's not bad. And then I've got potentially taking Trevor Lawrence around here too. I might pull up Rico Dowdle. It just depends how I want to do it. Oh, someone pulled up Rico Dowdle already. So it's telling me to take Dak. I'm not going to do that. I'm not going to take Tucker Kraft either. I'm probably just going to end up taking Trevor Lawrence so that I have that stack built in right now. And so that's a Week 7 buy. I've got Amon-Ra as a potential Week 6 buy, so that would be Jared Goff, where I could do something with that. And yeah, I think that Tucker Kraft is a good value. Okay, someone just took him. I don't really like Cortland Sutton. I don't really like Alec Pierce, even though I've taken a lot of him. The running backs are running super thin at the moment, so I could see the algo wanting to push them up a little bit. I think that Blake Corum might be the right pick here, even though I'm getting pretty squeezed out of running back right now, which is not fun to do. Cortland Sutton, saying it's a good value. I'm not a huge Sutton fan. I've taken almost none of him, but you know what? Let's just do it. We invested 2 running backs early. It'll give me, I think what the algo is really prioritizing there is trying to think through okay, could you do a stack with, Bo Nix or something? And it looks like Bo Nix kind of fits around that pick. And then so is Jared Goff. So now I've got 2 stack options that are coming later. And he was way past ADP too. You can see, which the tool is going to prioritize a lot of times too. Trying to figure that whole thing out. Yeah, I know I've been the news guy. I'm also the analytics guy and film guy. So I try to do everything possible to build the best possible skill set for fantasy. I won the Gauntlet tournament a couple years ago on Underdog. I have done well in FFPC over time as well. Won my main event league with my brother last year and placed in the top 80 on the end of season leaderboard. Have won main event leagues in the past too. For Ball Mania, I think if you look at my advance rate, it's probably exactly average. And I've never gotten past the semifinals, which is unfortunate. I have had a lot of teams that have gotten pretty close. But yeah, unfortunately, haven't had as much success there as I'd want to. But again, I think about it in 5 different ways. You can think about it as, yeah, sure, I didn't get there. But it's really hard to make the finals. And again, I'm not hey, I want a 40% advance rate type of guy. Like if I'm building 150 teams, I think the right advance rate is probably close to like 30%, just because the way that I build is going to be super diversified. So I'm probably not going to end up with like the perfect mix of guys that I want every time. But is what it is. Looks like I'm going to be thin on running back in this draft, which is not fun, but at the same time, let's just go for it. Sam Laporta is going to pop up in my feed because I have Amon-Ra, and regardless if I end up getting Jared Goff or not, the tool is going to like me taking him. Let's see if anybody else has Jameson Williams. No. Okay, great. I think I can take Laporta here and then safely say, hey, Jared Goff makes a lot of sense for me in that next pick. See, Jared Goff just popped up to the top. So, see if anybody takes Jared Goff. Hoping not, but you never know. And then I've got Bo Nix as my backup stack, just in case. Doesn't look like I will end up with a Bears player as a bring back. Again, I don't think it's that important. I know we think about it as DFS and like the tournament's getting bigger and everything too, but okay, Jared Goff. Here we go. All right, I really like that. I got good value on those players. Yeah, we think about it as a big tournament, which is fair and the right way to think through it. But at the same time, there is a portion of all of this where you shouldn't necessarily reach too far to make sure that you get those bringbacks. If it doesn't align, it just doesn't align. Like the stack is way more important than the bringback. I think Leone's written about this. I was actually thinking about writing like an updated version, especially with the way the market trends are these days. But I don't think it's as important to get that bringback as you would think. Like it increases your like expected points in a really strong scenario by maybe like 2 points. And while that's great because 2 points can separate you from being a champion, it may not be worth the potential downside that you're setting yourself up for if you're reaching too far and taking a suboptimal pick. So, all right, what kind of week 17 situations do I have? So I need Washington, which I have Ayuk in the tool aligned to Washington right now. I'll probably end up with on the Trevor Lawrence side, I might end up with Strange. So this is the way that I kind of think about it. Like you probably don't want a tight end bring back. So Chig is like kind of off the table for me. Just because it doesn't really make too much sense when I'm building out this team to have that tight end bring back, because I would want Sam Laporta to hit my lineup from a Detroit side. And then if I get Strange, I would want Strange to hit my lineup instead of Chig in that situation. But Travis Hunter is available. He's ranked really low, but at the same time, you know, I might still take him in some way. The tool is going to prioritize Chris Rodriguez for me because he's a team stack with Trevor Lawrence. I don't think he's a bad pick, even though I think he has a Jones fracture, which will set him up for not great success long term. But I'm going to put Jordan Mason in the queue, even though he's like my second top player on here. Okay, someone else took him. People are going to snipe me, and I'm okay with that. There's always backup options. All right, so now I've got Chris Rodriguez as the top option, which I think makes a ton of sense. I'm not really into most of the other running backs that are coming up here, just to throw that out there for everybody. Someone asked in the chat, as a film guy, do you love Judkins as much as I do? I think Judkins is really good. And, you know, the only issue I see is the fact that they pretty much like rebuilt their entire offensive line. It's a new system. I think there could be like some slow get out at the beginning of the season. He's coming off an injury where players can come back a little slow. But that's thinking about the downside. If I'm thinking about the upside, we're talking about a guy, like if you just did a straight up projection for that team, the easiest way to think about it is, well, this guy is going to go out there and get, like, it's hard to find a guy that's going to get 20 touches. And he's very likely to do that. So every time I think about it and like want to second guess myself, I'm like, yeah, but 20 touches, like for certain games, he's going to go out there and absolutely destroy. The O-line continuity part, like I tweeted about this the other day, the O-line continuity part matters. I think everything about the team is going to start out very slow. It's actually why I want Deshaun Watson to start the season, because I just think that it's going to end up not looking great. I think there's more upside with Shedeur personally, not because I think Shedeur is a good quarterback. I think he's a really bad quarterback. But I think he has the potential to be a good garbage quarterback for fantasy, because he's willing to throw in tight windows. He's willing to like put himself in like really bad situations, and that can lead to huge plays for fantasy. It's going to lead to a lot of negative plays, which is why he's going to be like probably the worst rated quarterback. But I think it lends itself to such great fantasy value sometimes, which is what I'm looking for when I'm building out teams. Someone already took Brenton Strange, or am I just like losing my mind right now? No, he's available. Okay. And he seems like the right target for me at my next pick. What's it telling me? Round 13, Brenton Strange, 36% likelihood that he'll be there. Well, I will take him if he's available. Regardless of what the algo thinks, I'm going to take Brenton Strange if he's there for me. It's a really good tight end too, in my opinion, to take Brenton Strange. I don't like the way this team is ending up. I think it's, again, you get a little bit like loose at running back, and like you're really, like, I think you really need 3 contributors at running back, especially this year. And I don't think Chris Rodriguez is like for sure a contributor. Even though the team has kind of said that, maybe through touchdowns or something like that, but like, can he get 15 points in a week? He would need 2 touchdowns. How likely is that? How guaranteed is it that he gets short yardage? Tootin was pretty good at short yardage. So, another question from 0FUHKs. You think Monken can make the running game more efficient? I do. I think that they could be more efficient in the run game. The tool wants me to take Jalen McMillan, but Brenton Strange is also green value, and I'm going to take Strange because this guy doesn't have a tight end behind me, and I think he's probably the next likely guy to go. So now I've got my 2 tight ends, which I'm in a great spot there. At some point, there's a Washington player that I should probably take, and I'll get back to your question from the chat after I think through this scenario. Is there an Antonio Williams situation like brewing for me at the moment? It looks like when I look at this tool, Williams in round 15, which is the next time, is about 20%. So I think that's the time where I will lean into a pick like that. Ryan Flournoy, great pick in my mind. Same with Jalen McMillan. I like both of these, so I'll just take whoever it tells me to take. Probably no. I'd like to take McMillan because he's a better ADP value personally. And let's see, by week 10, by week 14, I don't know. Up in the air. I'm going to take Jalen McMillan. Close enough. Flournoy has got some bring back value for some of my players, though. That was probably why he was boosted so much. But I like the ADP value of 15 picks for Jalen McMillan. Getting back to your question on Monken, I do think that Monken can elevate this run game. I think there's a lot of variables with the team. Like, so I think the run game can be elevated, but at the same time, I'm still worried that with so much change on the offensive line and so much change from a scheme perspective, it's just going to look really bad for the first like 4 weeks. And so if I take Judkins, I'm probably trying to think through like who are guys that I think can like, step in and be really strong to start. One of the guys that I think can start the season really strong is J.K. Dobbins, because I do think that he'll get like not a bell cow role, but like 12 to 15 touches, kind of like a week 1 situation, week 1 to week 4. Obviously injury is always kind of in the factor for him as well, but yeah, that's kind of how I see it for that. But he's a good pairing with a guy like Judkins or Cam Scatterbo, guys that you might be worried about early season, especially. And so I just keep thinking through that in my head. Like, how do I want to build my team? The way that I want to build my team is through guys like that who are going to bring significant like early season value with the Judkins situation. And you're welcome. I appreciate your question. Don't even know if anyone else is asking questions. I don't even know how to look at it. Like, this is the first time I've spent any time like on this like StreamYard chat. All right, I need running backs. Dylan Sampson. There was somebody, I think Ryan Heath put something out there about like Monken sometimes leaning into a pass catching back, and so there is. Doesn't matter. Sampson's gone. But there, in my mind, there is some value to a guy like Dylan Sampson because he could be that pass catching back that they need. And if Judkins for some reason like isn't healthy, even though he looks great on all the videos, there's an opportunity there. All right, we're coming up close to where I need to. I'm wondering if it's going to prioritize Geno for me. I kind of want the third quarterback, and I do actually think that Geno is not a bad pick. I might go with Flournoy. It says Kamara. I'm struggling in my head with this one. I'm going to go with Kamara, even though that's a little bit early for him. And I do like Ryan Flournoy a lot, so I'm really sad that I didn't take him. And it's past ADP by a lot. So, he's going to be taken by the time I take my next pick. I do think Geno could fall a lot because, the way that I think about it is like people are using probably similar ranks for all this stuff. And what I like to do is kind of see what the market ranks are and then like kind of prioritize my team around those market ranks a little bit. Jerry Jeudy is an ugly pick, but it does like him. I kind of like Zachariah Branch a little bit better. So I'm just going to branch it up. I do think Zachariah Branch has some sort of role. Zero doesn't know Ball. Who's Zero? Is that me? It could be me. I don't know. If you don't think I know Ball, that's okay. I do watch a lot. I have charted. I have done a lot of different things in the football world in my past, but if I don't know Ball, then I don't know. Who's T-Wise? Oh, are you naming the people that are in the actual draft? I'm trying to see. Yeah, I don't know. It's hard for me to like understand what you guys are talking about, but anyway. Yeah, I'm probably going to need so I like Geno Smith. I'll probably be like one of very few people that actually thinks that he might end up starting for the full season, even though they've talked a little bit about Klubnik and things like that too. But I like him because I actually think there's a chance that he is set up for some success with the offensive line, set up for some success with like the weapons that they have in play. And like, I'm only worried about the coaches basically in his situation, which, I think is understandable, but at the same time, like, let's go out there, put ourselves on a limb and take a chance on a QB3 in this situation. The tool is not prioritizing him for me, which is okay. I think it's because he's just pushed so low in terms of value. And I do have the Tua potential stack too because I took Zach Riot Branch. I'm trying to see. Yeah, so I have Kamara and Branch, and I could take Tua. And I actually think Tua will probably play a lot of the season too. So we'll see how that all goes. All right. Yeah, you can hear my RJ Harvey take. I think they have a very defined role for RJ Harvey. They call it the Joker, which nobody likes. But I think that's kind of where they want to slot him in for now. I think I need so I'm going to go with Geno, and then I think I'm going to take a running back after that, which is probably going to be a little bit. Lonnie's gone. Okay, great. I will probably end up taking Jaden Blue. Well, no, I don't want to take Jaden Blue because I already have Javonte. Katron's not a bad option. Katron's not a bad option. And then I've got, I could take a third tight end. Third tight end's not a bad option either. I think I'm okay at receiver because I drafted so many early. I don't like my running back room because I kind of like deprioritized that after taking Javonte. So I'm feeling a little bit like I need to jump in there. These tight ends are kind of like ugly too. So for RJ Harvey, I think that they are prioritizing putting him in a situation where he's going to be kind of I'm going to take Katron, where he's going to be the Joker receiving back. If J.K. Dobbins gets injured, so my team's done now, and you'll see the tool is going to update and tell me like how well I did and all sorts of stuff and grade all the picks. I think that RJ Harvey will be the receiving back if J.K. Dobbins got injured, which happens every single year. So it's a reasonable expectation to take to think that. I think that what would end up happening is they would be some sort of split between Jonah Coleman and RJ Harvey. RJ Harvey was super inefficient, but I also think that inefficiency doesn't matter as much. Like there's a minimum requirement for how efficient you should be. And again, like he was decent from a success rate perspective because he did do a lot of short yardage and he was okay at it. So I think all in all, my answer there is that the market is just like completely fading RJ Harvey. And I kind of agree with it, but we've been wrong in this situation so many times. Like people liked him coming out. He was third round draft capital. That's higher than Jonah Coleman. I do really like Jonah Coleman, but we don't exactly know what would happen if J.K. Dobbins got injured. I don't think that RJ Harvey has too much standalone value. Like he's, this isn't like full PPR. Okay, so I got an A grade, which is awesome, and it's saying that I was third in my pod, which is cool. I don't see a lot of standalone value because I do think that like the short yardage might not necessarily be him. But I do think that there's an opportunity for us to take him as like the contingent on J.K. Dobbins, and potentially he gets back to having a similar role to what he did like at the end of the season last year, where he scored so many fantasy points. Like they trusted him, and that trust is what's really important, is that the team was willing to give him a lot of volume, and he actually did it. Something that Jonah Coleman hasn't proven in the NFL. And it's really underrated because the biggest predictor of being able to have a lot of volume the next season is being able to show that you can take volume the previous season. So we could be worried about nothing. I don't have like a full take on it because it's hard to know. I do think J.K. Dobbins is a really good pick right now, though. All right, that's the end of the show. Appreciate you guys watching, and until next time.